Now, if you're one of the people that were concerned about the erosion of your civil liberties during the coronavirus pandemic, well, congratulations. At least in one part, you're right. And no, it's not about wearing a mask in public. It's actually about what you use to browse the internet and your entire browser history. There's new proposed amendment to the Patriot Act put forward by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell that would greatly expand Attorney General William Barr's surveillance powers. Now, McConnell's amendment would explicitly permit the FBI to collect records of America's internet search and browsing histories without a warrant. So, this is a warrantless search of whatever you search on the internet. Now, here's the weird thing, right? So, a lot of people, aren't worried about this. Hey, we got nothing to fear. Okay, but if you're a whistleblower, or if you're somebody the government doesn't like, that could get a little dicey. Now, this would also mandate that Attorney General William Barr and his successors, the Justice Department, will conduct an annual review of the FBI's submissions into the FISA court. Now, Barr would be permitted to review for, quote, accuracy and completeness evidence presented to the FISA court by the FBI regarding potential surveillance targets. So you're giving William Barr the power to find potential surveillance targets. So this does a couple of things, right? For one, it allows William Barr, who is not objective, right? So he's not at all interested in the law. He's interested in being Trump's flunky. Now, if you have another, for example, a Democratic president that installs a political loyalist like William Barr, but only for Democrats, well, then they can target conservatives they don't like. Right now, they can target liberals or progressives that they don't like, or whistleblowers or whatever. So this is disastrous. This is a very large amount of power going into the Department of Justice. So that's bad. Senator Ron Wyden is one of the best congressmen when it comes to issues of privacy. And so he's been sounding the alarm. In fact, he said under the McConnell Amendment, Barr gets to look through the web browsing history of any American, including journalists, politicians, and political rivals. It's very important. Without a warrant, just by saying that it's relevant to an investigation. He also said that typical Americans may think to themselves, I've got nothing to worry about. I've done nothing wrong. The government has no reason to suspect me of anything, said the senator. But unfortunately, the question is whether or not you did anything. The question is whether a government agent believes they have the right to look at your web searches. It is open season on anybody's most personal information. So, hey, man, look, if you have some shady web history, watch out. Maybe it's time to go and invest in a VPN or something. And yes, this could target independent media as well, especially left-wing independent media. And so nobody's safe under this. If you're interested in giving out facts, they can definitely use this against you. So now, Wyden continues by saying, quote, if that doesn't give you chills, I don't know what will. I'm fighting it every step of the way. And he actually is. He tried to pass an amendment. Now, he teamed up with the Republican Senator Steve Daines of Montana and tried to put an amendment forward, which would have required the Justice Department to show probable cause before collecting data under the Patriot Act. That amendment failed. The very little bit of oversight that this would have given failed by one vote. One vote. Now, 10 Democrats joined Republicans in defeating this amendment by Wyden, and this, of course, to stop warrantless surveillance of web browser history are Tom Carper, Senator Casey, Senator Dianne Feinstein, Senator Maggie Hassan, Senator Doug Jones, Tim Kaine, Joe Manchin, Jeanne Shaheen, Mark Warner, and Sheldon Whitehouse. Now, again, those are the Democrats that joined with the Republicans in saying, yes, we can look through your browser history. Come on. Now, There was one senator that could have made the difference. You know who that was? Senator Bernie Sanders. Where was Bernie? How did he vote? Well, he didn't. Bernie wasn't there. He was absent. He didn't show up. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. I mean, now the Department of Justice, if no amendments are added, right? So if the McConnell amendment actually doesn't get added, which would be a good thing, right? Even though the Patriot Act is a disaster, this won't have to go through the House. This could be signed by the president. So now, if this amendment passes, it would have to go back to the House and could be likely approved by corporate Democrats, as they already in the Senate have signed on to it. Nancy Pelosi has no problem giving Trump more spying powers. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. So now it's very likely that if this does pass and get signed by the president, who will, of course, probably enthusiastically sign it as it gives this flunky more power, then the Department of Justice, William Barr, is going to have much more power. Much more power. I mean, and it gets worse, by the way. I was just talking about the internet browsing part. Now, this is one thing that the Republicans really love about this bill, and that under McConnell's proposal, the FISA court and its amicus, who's an attorney appointed to challenge the government's submissions for potential surveillance, would be limited in their ability to question the FBI, but only in cases of politicians. So now that kind of undoes a protection, as we're all supposed to have an amicus. If the FBI, if the government wants to look into us, if the government wants to do surveillance on us, then we should have an amicus. We should have them acting on our behalf saying, hey, wait a minute, we don't think that that's right, that you could spy on this person. They shifted that over to protecting politicians. McConnell, by the way, would limit the involvement of an amicus only when the FBI submits an application to target a campaign for federal office, or an application that targets a United States person when the application relies for its criminal predicate on only the provisions of the Foreign Agents Registration Act. So understand, this is there to protect politicians, but not regular people from being surveilled, from being spied on. I mean, come on. It's been pointed out, too, that this amendment's provision allowing William Barr or any future attorney general to review the evidence presented to the FISA court is likely a response to the FBI's reasoning for conducting surveillance on Trump's campaign aide Carter Page. They're very, very mad about that. Very mad about that. So, look, on the one hand, you have an amicus that can protect political candidates, right? And stop them from being spied on. But no protections for journalists, whistleblowers, or everyday citizens. Protect the politicians, not the people, because, of course, that's why a lot of these Democrats are in favor of this. Put together, according to Demand Justice, these two provisions are two of the most cynical attempts to undermine surveillance reform. McConnell, according to that group, is literally trying to take a privacy safeguard designed for the press and religious groups and instead give it only to politicians and people suspected of being foreign agents. He's also trying to sneak warrantless surveillance of internet and his search histories into an amendment that claims to prohibit it. This is according to Sean Vitka talking to the Daily Beast. These amendments, they say, would pretty much guarantee the ability of an incumbent administration to spy on its political opponents without consequences, according to Charles Pierce at Esquire. So this is disastrous. Now, would Trump really do this? Of course he would. There's no question. Of course he'd do surveillance on journalists and whistleblowers who are not friendly to him. Of course he would. And would he protect politicians that have swore fealty to him? Of course he would. This is fascism 101. This is why from day one, I was supportive of getting rid of the entire Patriot Act. Get rid of it. It's gone. Now, here's the thing. I'm disappointed in Bernie Sanders for not being there. He didn't show up. Now, look, he didn't vote against a Wyden amendment that could have stopped McConnell. It's true. I mean, that would have been worse had he actually voted the wrong way. But he wasn't there, and I'm kind of curious as to why. Because again, this could have been stopped by his vote, by the one vote. So I think it's kind of a failure on his part, at least to be there for a very, very important vote. I don't know what else he had going on. I don't know. And so, look, if you want to give him the benefit of the doubt, I can understand that. But I'm deeply disappointed. As somebody who, really likes Bernie Sanders and somebody who supports him and, more than happy to vote for him, I just think that I think he should have been there for this. And I don't know why he wasn't. And maybe I'll find out that he's had a good reason, but it has to be a pretty damn good reason, I think. Now, for all the Democrats, by the way, you can't go and claim that Trump is a Russian asset and that he's the most dangerous president in history and then vote with him to allow him to get more power. I mean, that's insane. Insane. Unfortunately, that's what they've been doing. The resistance, so-called resistance, it's all theater. No. The threat is the only thing that's real, the threat of Trump, and they seem to not actually care about that. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.